start May 2019, go through 2 years.
Would that be an online thing as well?
I think according to Agenda, it would be online.
Okay.
It would be available online.
It would be available, yeah.
But it would be quite intense.
Yeah.
That would have to be a caveat.
Yeah.
Because unless you didn't care about taking the GCSE, you would have to relax and then not worry if you missed stuff. Because you know, this class is purely for your interest
Yeah.
and joy, really, isn't it? It's meant to be so you can just get a more deeper feeling of it all and understanding of the language. But if you wanted to do the GCSE, it would be like when Dr. Deepika describes her training when she in the Ayurveda college. It would be full on, like, you know how Dr. Deepika said, she can teach you so much, but it's all in one day.
Yeah.
It would be more that type of feeling. You would be getting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it really, it would take you to reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Mahabharata, reading Ramayana and understanding all the grammar.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'm only giving that warning so that if you joined, you wouldn't get...
You know what you sign up for.
Yes, you know what you're signing up for. It's a great thing. I think if you want to do Sanskrit, it's a great thing. But if you just want to carry on enjoying it, I'd have to say honestly, I wouldn't. I mean, you would still enjoy it, you really would. But if you felt like that's just too much, this is plenty. You know, it depends what you want.
Because I do, the thing that I would like to understand, because I do Havan, I would
Yes.
love to understand more what I'm saying,
Yeah,
rather than just saying it
exactly.
without not knowing what I'm
And
saying.
through the GCSE, it would obviously give you a massive vocabulary.
Yeah.
So you would have a big increase, you would learn it all, and you would understand the dictionary, you would then feel that you could take any Sanskrit verse yourself. And you would still have to look it up and all that,
Yeah.
but you would have all the facilities to do it and be confident in it, you know. But before the course started, you would already know the alphabet. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So for people joining the course new, we would already give them the online videos of the learning the alphabet, how to read and write it.
That's a prerequisite.
That would be a prerequisite, because otherwise, you know, we wouldn't go.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is that a plan to open it to
It is open to everyone.
everyone rather than just the Ayurvedic?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be the part of it. It would be open to anyone. So it wouldn't have, you know how these classes are tailored to Ayurveda, like any shloka we do is Ayurveda, any vocab we do is Ayurveda, because it's purely to complement your study,
Yeah.
not to give extra stress, just to
Yeah.
complement it. But that class would be purely Sanskrit,
Okay.
so open to anyone. It would still be fun, because
Yeah,
Sanskrit
okay,
is
yeah.
always fun, but it would be intense. Like you would have to do the work in between, basically, to keep it up. Otherwise,
There's no point.
you know, unless you didn't mind not taking the exam, that would be fine. But you would still have to keep up with the class, you know, for it to progress. But it would be a great aim, because I'm not really one for exams myself, but only I make an exception with Sanskrit, purely because the motive makes you be able to read the Gita or any, you know, the texts, and that is such a good motive to have. So, but it wouldn't start till 2019 springish time, to give people who might be signing up from outside time to learn it, look at the alphabet, look at the videos of the alphabet, that type of thing. And there was a Sanskrit A-level, but it's been cancelled. So the exam board withdrew it because there weren't enough people in the country taking it anymore.
Oh,
So,
yeah, okay.
so I really would, if you do really like Sanskrit, I would recommend the GCSE purely because you never know how long it's going to be here for. And it is such a good basis for your personal, then you're ready, you can do whatever you want with it. And it's a bit in danger, it's like an endangered species. If not many people take it, that will be withdrawn as well, and that will be the end. But it's becoming more popular in India, the GCSE Sanskrit.
It is in Mauritius too.
In Mauritius, it's
In
very
Mauritius,
popular.
and they do
yeah.
that. That's why I did my I did Hindi up to A level.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had a message from like someone in Mauritius the other day saying saying how much they love Sanskrit.
Oh
in
God, yeah,
Mauritius.
because everyone we speak Hindi, we speak dialect in India, Bhojpuri. And we have people speaking Marathi, Telugu, and obviously Tamil.
It's really
I think in
popular.
Mauritius, so it's quite.
So you could once you learn your Sanskrit, you could go to Mauritius and be you'd be able to talk to some people.
It's mostly it's I mean the thing is that because everyone, like I said, everyone does Vedic Havan, so everyone basically we all like Sunday, especially all the women. They have like a group. They kind of like an Arya Samaj's group, or they have like a Sunday group where they go and do Havan, and they go and like every member who's in there, they go and do Havan at everyone's place. So every Sunday, so you go there and the people that are there, that's basically hosting it, will prepare food and they will do the Havan. They will feed everyone that's there. So every Sunday you've got somewhere to go.
Place,
so socially, it's something. And then those group are basically subsidized by the government as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're subsidized. So they have outing. They have like yoga group. They have all sorts. Like my mum, she's 72, but she goes to a yoga group. And they go to all sorts of places that I've never been. So they do a lot of stuff with just being in those little kind of like little group in the community. That's why when like loneliness is I don't think it's an issue really.
No,
unless you put yourself out. It's everyone. And actually the weather as well makes such a big difference. You don't have to put the heating in inside and stay indoors. So everyone is out and about.
That's so nice.
No, the Sanskrit's it's quite up and coming in Mauritius as well.
That's great. And it really is becoming sort of more well known as something that can be soothing. As in a group to chant or just to learn and then chant together. There's something very empowering and soothing. Any chanting, but there is the vibrations of the Sanskrit do hold something.
I think it is going with Ayurveda is more counting the depth, the Sanskrit. We need Sanskrit for Ayurveda, Ayurveda needs Sanskrit. And then the Ayurveda is going to be there, people are going to learn Sanskrit. And that's what is happening in America. Like people learning Ayurveda through Ayurveda, because Bhagavad Gita is kind of religious thing. Like people more into a if you're not religious, you're not going to read the Bhagavad Gita, and like it is something to do with the Hinduism. But Ayurveda is like purely come as a health, like health science, and it need, the sloka has written by the Sanskrit, and that means if you Sanskrit has to go to the world. I think my only way is Ayurveda, because Ayurveda going now. And that's what I want this course, you to be in like a Sanskrit teacher and get in Sanskrit, because it's like everybody knows now, hear people Sanskrit now, isn't the before that nobody knows about Sanskrit, now it like 200, 300 people knows about Sanskrit.
The more the Ayurveda rises in its and spreads in its popularity, it carries the Sanskrit with it. They carry each other.
And then it's not going to delete from the planet. At least it has its purpose. Kind of thing. Because there is no purpose, nothing going to sustain, because people are in India also this converting into now atheists at the moment. They don't believe in religion. Some like when you go to the kind of educated crowd, because it's coming from America and England. I think so, no God, no culture, kind of thing.
I think the more materialistic people get, the more successful they have by material stuff, they forget. The only time they will remember God is when they're in trouble. Isn't it like that with any, It's like very few people, and but that's why being in a small community is like being part of a group. It helps you to be grounded, to keep you to know where you come from rather than where you're going. So unless you keep to your roots somehow, you've got that like anchoring, so that you don't kind of waft around like a kite, So your life become more meaningful then.
And we're glad you came to our institute and our life. That means, you know, just you know, this like Ayurveda, there is a continuation of Sanskrit then, is it?
And vice versa for me, that Ayurveda completely contributes to my Sanskrit love. They really go hand in hand. Like, and the Ayurveda, the health and the well-being and the addressing of the physical properties, you can see how they're so linked. And the sound vibrations and the sounds of Sanskrit and the meaning is intrinsically linked with body health and mental well-being, and like they sort of really marry each other.
And I think the Gabriel are going to do the sound healing from the next year, you see. You know, it's like you know, the some chakras, they have some problems, you know, like for example, if you have the endometriosis or something like fibroids and everything, and when you're talking to people, they have so much emotional link in there, which is the vibration can take out.
It really can.
You know, and then sometimes it's a hard way to, you know, somehow they're going somewhere and they're stuck, they don't reveal the actual truth. But it's the sound, end of the day. It's the communication by the language. We have a language, but language is the communication by sound to somebody. But it's a sound itself communicated this one, whatever it is. It is like, that means I don't want to know, the patient doesn't want to know. The something is, vibration is coming out from their body, you know, and it is really
I think it links a little bit with a program I saw on TV last night, which was Darcy Bustle, which was about dance, but obviously dance has music, and she was using it with people that had dementia, that had mental problems, and you know, there was a healing, a way of connecting with these people through the movement, but also the sound music, and I think that's what, you know, you're talking about, really the same thing, isn't it?
Same thing, because it's a dancing and singing music. The singing is all about people putting their emotions out, and people related to that, they're crying and they're listening, you know. And then this Sanskrit is because of the ancient way of the Prakriti and Purusha link with the language, and without we knowing that, we decoding things inside. Because that's what we are made from, you know, not like what we're talking about now language, is it? It's the sounds, you know, and the sound is related to the world, you know, how was born the world, you know, that means, you know, we connected to that. I think it's like the Gabriella's, you know, 1 or 2 chanting, we put it to the, you know, like, what is this, the live stream. And kirtan, and a few patients of mine, and say they sit down and cry for a long time. It's like listening to that, and they doesn't know what they cry for, you know. And one of the patient of ours, you know, is a Korean she's in Canada, and she listened to your chanting, and she said, ever since I'm not right, because I'm not right means she's crying, she wanted to release this something, and then she has consultation with me, and she keeps saying, but ancient emotions, how it's beginning to reveal in front of her, is really fascinating. But she's saying, I am not right mean, and it is broke her superficial balance. You know, and then it is coming to the step deeper than that, and it is like people always like the superficial balance, is it? You know, like I am okay, nothing wrong with me, and suddenly this reveal one layer, and then some kind of things is coming inside, and then she said to me, ever since I'm not right, I thought it's a good thing, you know, because now is which I was having consultation actually. She's more to a friend to me now, because like she's so much, we have connection, and you know, like a lot of things I couldn't do to her and done by this sound, and then I think it's really fascinating, because by it is powerful than the communication, which is I'm very loving and caring, and then I'm really into that zone of the relationship, but still something can't take it out from the the internal world,
deep towards the
and then
Nidana.
sound can do that, and then that's is that the beauty is she doesn't know what, I don't know what, but she and me both knew that something is open to the second layer, and it is good, and then she's never going to stop anyway now. And that is the beauty. It's like she's going to go deeper and deeper, kind of thing. And Ayurveda started for that, like the medicine and everything and the communication, and then she wanted to, and she said, like little life, little place to live, and then until then, and because she's saying her life, she's been 50, she retired, and she gone to Canada. She has a really nice house and dogs and husband, and she felt like my world is now, I done it. I don't have to go to work, and she's away from the life, like normal life, but still, like she's the really nice place, 90 acres of Canada, really nice waterfalls and everything. She's living in like a sanity, She wanted to have Ayurvedic clinic one day for us, retreat center. I thought, yes, I will do that for you, like that. She's really nice lady, she hasn't got children or anything, but it's like the thing is now she said it's not, is this all the sanity it is not the sanity. I need to have more, like it's like place, and then everybody said that life is giving you like, yeah, I'm fine now, because it's the really nice beautiful place to live, and really nice, I have financially capable to do things, and I live with my husband and dogs and cats and everything, but it's not life. It's kicking you like, no, it's okay, but it's not the life. It's like deeper than that. And then this is always with my consultation, is always kicking her like, she's crying, she's like that's what people going to do life, is it? They think I go to wilderness and find a really nice place, and everything is fine, I don't have to earn money, and I have cats, dog, garden, flowers and winters and summers and everything, but it's not all.
That's just superficial life.
It's like the thing is she is done in a very beautiful way. One is good because she is not in a crazy world now. She has more time to think, and more time to think. Stop, think, and that means some design.
That's what they did in kind of Vedic times, in the third section, is it Vipanasati or something like that, when they retire to the forest. After you have your kids, then they're gone, they left the house, so you can go to the forest and just have some kind of go to a sanctuary, start to work on what's
in the deeper. And that is the Ayurveda says, third part of the life, One is the cup of water, then after that the pitta part, and then vata and kapha coming, last part, and then you have to go to the, you're looking for the spiritual connection.
And also that's, I suppose, where the mantras, the healing mantras, can work on the different koshas and different layers to go and wake up things that are deeper than
that. It's like life is like, the Sanskrit is really good to wake up, like because it's not the language, it's a sound. Like sound is like what is a universal form. The sound has big bang sound together form. Vibration, and it is nice, And so, Gabriela is one missing part of the link, Now it's coming.
And look, Dr. Deepika, Melanie pointed out that the flowers match. The sound already set the stage, the sound vibration.
Last time the same, the yellow
and yellow.
Drew just texted, she's not coming, her husband is not well. Drew.
Drew.
Yeah, her
She's
husband's
on
not
the
well,
yes,
so
yeah.
she's not coming.
I saw Noel, he was outside.
I saw Noel outside, but he was on the phone, so perhaps some things are missing, he needs to sort out.
So we can begin our Sanskrit and tune into these sounds Dr. Deepika was talking about. And year 2s, do you all feel comfortable with the sounds of the alphabet?
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask is because we're going to do an exercise where you hear them within. We're not going to sound it out loud, because you can sound out loud, obviously, but we haven't really explored much together of sounding within. So that's why I'm asking you, before we open the class, just to check, if I sound the vowels and the whole alphabet out loud, if you have any questions, ask at the beginning, because then you're going to hear those sounds within. I'll lead you through it though. So the vowels are e, u, and we're going to add l. So we have e, u, e, I, u, o, You can hear them a few times. I'll lead you through it. Then we have the consonants: ka, ka, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ka, ka, ga, gha, na, ta, ta, da, dha, na, ya, ra, la, wa. Oh yeah, pa, 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 ba, ba, ma, ya, ra, la, wa, sha, ra, sa, ha, ksha, tra, nya. I'll sound them out loud, but you'll be hearing them inside. So when we come to that, because we're going to close our eyes, but when we come to that part, the exercise is to really hear the sounds. Like, you know, when you look at a page, to read the page, you have to trace the shape with your eyes. Whenever you see anything written on the board, you trace the shape with your eyes, especially when you're learning a language, but your eyes are always tracing the shape. You can do the same with sound. You can listen with the same clarity as you see, because often the listening gets second thing, you know, it's all this, and the listening is less aware. But when you hear the sounds, see if you can listen just like you would when you watch something being written on the board. Engage the ears in that way. So it's like you're sounding along with it, almost, because you're hearing it and feeling it inside. And we'll just hear the alphabet inside us as a mantra, because we've been talking about sound vibrations and healing through sound, and we'll hear the alphabet in different parts of us. So as we sound it, we'll just be aware of it. The vowels in this whole head-throat region to do with expression, and then the first two families, ka and cha, we'll hear them, but we'll feel them running through to our arms and hands. Feel them. It's just a sensation, and if it doesn't work for you, then let it just relax into it. Nothing, no problem, you know. And then we'll hear the next two families, the ta and the ta, in the legs. It's like we bring our awareness to the legs, because you're sitting here with Dr. Deepika for a long time, aren't you, on these weekends, and sometimes you can just be listening from here up. But it is possible to listen to everything with the whole body. And like when Dr. Deepika is talking about stuff, especially if there's things to do with different parts of the body or different qualities, you can almost sense things in the body, not just in brain, head, thinking mechanism. So we'll bring all the attention to the legs, and then when we finish with the p and the semi-vowels, we'll feel it in the torso, we'll just feel it in the front and back. And then finally the conjunct consonants, we'll feel the ksha, as we sound them, we'll feel this energy come whoosh, ready to begin the day. So we can use it as a sort of tool to begin your day, you know, to tune into the whole body through the alphabet. And so it doesn't have to be just mechanical learning it, you know, like a parrot. We can also feel it inside us as we sound. So we'll guide you through it, so you'll experience this. And just trust the sound. There's nothing negative in any of these sounds, and it's not like feeding you with anything bad for you, you know. The sounds of the alphabet actually would balance Vata, Pitta and Kapha. It would contain only balancing. Hello Noel, you're just in time for the settling. To settle down. Yes. That's okay. So we'll begin to settle and just sense the body on the chair. We sense the weight of it on the chair, the heaviness of it, or perhaps the lightness of it, but just the sensation of the body. And we can all together notice how we're feeling. Am I tired? Am I content? Am I hungry? Am I... Whatever it might be, just notice what it is, and there's nothing to be afraid of in whatever it is. We just notice how we are, and we don't try and change it, we just notice it. How I am, how this body is. And together we sound Om Paramatmane Namaha to open. Paramatmane Namaha. Atta. And keeping the eyes closed, we're going to use the sounds of the Sanskrit alphabet to become aware of this whole body sitting on this chair. And we start by hearing the vowels, and as you hear them, sound them inside and have the sensation that they're sort of clearing the mind. You can sense them in the head region, in the face, front of face, back of skull, and in the neck, front and back of neck, in the throat. So as I sound the vowels, sound them with me, but only inside. A, I, U, R, A, I, O, Ah. And let the attention move from the head, from the face, travel to the shoulder girdle, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, and the hands. And as you hear these next sounds, sound along with them inside, but allowing the attention to be traveling through the arms to the hands and fingertips. That you can sense the energy moving down the arms, and as the energy travels through the arms to the hands and fingertips, you can become aware of your arms almost like it's the first time in your life you've ever sensed these limbs, these addendums to your body. And they're completely connected and full of energy, full of lightness, full of life. And you hear and follow these sounds inside. Ka, ka, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. And let the attention travel through the torso all the way down to the hip creases. And then we have a sense of these other limbs, these two legs. I can feel the weight of the legs, the sensation of the legs on the chair. These two long limbs that carry us around, that support us, that take us to the earth. And you can sense all the way to the feet, the toes, the tips of the toes. And as you hear and sound these sounds within, let the attention rest in the legs all the way down, that energy travelling all the way through the legs to the feet. Ta, ta, da, dha, nga. Ta, ta, da, dha, na. And the attention travels back up the legs to the abdomen, the lower abdomen, far below the navel, and the lower back at the back. And we sense that basin, that pelvic basin, and the support front and back, the 3D shape of us. And with the attention resting there, what in Sanskrit is called para, our sort of central region and below, we sound inside the labial family. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. And the attention travelling up through the rib cage to the chest, front and back, that whole sense of space around the rib cage and the organs it shelters, it protects. And with the awareness in the upper half of the torso, we just notice what's there. It might feel a bit funny, especially if there are any blocks there, but that's okay, just sit with it. And we sound within the semi-vowels and the sibilants. Ya, ra, la, va. Ya, ra, la, va. And as we bring in the sibilants, we release the awareness so it travels through the arms, through the legs, from the torso, incorporating a sense of the whole body, not blocked anywhere, not stopping anywhere. We hear within the sibilants, sha, hra, sa, ha, sha, hra, sa, ha. And finally we become aware of the anti-gravity nature in us that's keeping us on the earth, in opposition to that energy rising up within us. So we sense this opposition between the up and the down, and we know that we're in the middle. We can ground between that upward direction and that downward flow. And with that sense we hear within the conjunct consonants Kra, Tra, Shnya, Kra, Tra, Shnya. And sit for a moment. If you need to, moistening the lips, calling any saliva into the mouth, even with the slight thought of a smile. Noticing when you next swallow any saliva, noticing the state of the body, the state of the mind. Being aware of our feet on the floor, we slowly come back to the room and blink open our eyes. And we begin today's shloka. Before we do, are there any questions on any of your Sanskrit so far? That's great.
Now that
All
we
very
know
clear.
it all, or we don't know anything.
Yeah, there does seem to be one or the other. So today we're going to enjoy chanting together this shloka. So we're going to first chant it in its completion, and then we'll just briefly have a look at what makes up a shloka, because you have so many Ayurvedic shlokas. And this is one of them from the Madhava Nidana, explaining the 5 ways you can treat a disease, or see it from the cause all the way through to the manifestation. The 5, you see at the end it's got Panchadha, these are the 5 Roganam, things of disease, Smritam, it is remembered. So then in the shloka itself you've got them Nidana, Purvarupa, Rupa, Anupashaya, Samprapti. And we'll sound this shloka and then break it up. So first we sound it. Nidanam Purvarupani, Nidanam Purvarupani, Rupanyupashayas-tatha, Rupanyupashayas-tatha, Sampraptischeti vijnanam, Sampraptischeti vijnanam, Roganam Panchadha Smritam, Roganam Panchadha Smritam. And now we'll sound it. Even if you feel a bit insecure, see if you can sound it with a little zest. I know there's not many of us, so it feels a bit funny. But even if the sounds come out wrong, it's to give a bit of the energy. Yeah.
I don't think it's funny. They all knows about Nidana, Pura, Rupa,
Do they?
Samprapti.
It's not the first time you sing it, you know?
Yeah.
No, we've done it.
No. This is the course, Nidana, Pura, Rupa, Upashe, Samprapti.
Yeah, so it's all words that you know.
No.
Yeah. And if there's things that are causing confusion, then you must say, why is that there? You must say, why? Because you know, with Sanskrit, you got to say, what's that doing? Tell me about it. You know, if anything freaks you out, just say, hey, why is it saying that when I know this word?
And what does it say? Some properties.
There you go, you see? This is good. Why does it say sampraptishyeti? Exactly. So what we've done here is broken up each little sentence to make it nice and easy for you. So we will explain it, but we'll explain it now because you just asked. You know the term samprapti, like the complete attainment of something when it's reached that form. But you see this word, it says sampraptishyeti, and you're like, what's going on? That's not the word I know. So the original word samprapti with a visarga, that's what you were talking about when we were in the kitchen. Samprapti, that's the form of the word. So you see that sound, samprapti, that sound has become sh. So it's become, and you don't have to remember this is just so in this moment you see what's happening. That sound meeting a ch has become sh. So samprapti cheti has become sampraptishyeti in order to flow it along.
Yeah.
And then you're left with the question.
What is cheti?
Yes, that's it. You're left with the question, but what on earth is cheti? Because I want samprapti, that makes sense, that's the vocabulary I know. But what's cheti doing? And you'll see that cheti in so many verses. Why? Because cha is and. Do you see, this thing is listing a whole list. Nidana, purvarupa, rupa, upaya, and then samprapti. So we need this and, because it's not just one thing, it's and and this. So that's what the cha is doing, it's and. So then you're left with one more question.
What is cheti?
Yes, what is that thing joined to the cha? Because it's sampraptish. So sampraptish, cha, which is the and for the list, and then the cha has joined to iti. When have you heard the word iti? Yes, at the end of our lessons we say iti. So at the end of the list, you've got iti, that's saying the list is finished. Do you see? So then we go back to the beginning of your list and keep asking more questions if anything's not clear. So the beginning, the first word in the list, nidanam. So that's a word we know.
Nidana.
That's in
not
it.
nidanam.
Nidanam gives it an ending because the word is officially neuter. So in Sanskrit, when a neuter word has its official ending in a shloka, it's nidanam. But as a word to express a concept, you don't need to give it an ending. Do you see, when you're just talking about it, you don't need to give all the Sanskrit endings or your conversation would be stilted. You'll be like, all the time. You know, that it's not English. Do you know what I mean? When you're speaking about it, you just say nidana. But when it's in the shloka, it takes its official ending, neuter, nidanam.
So that's the gender.
The gender of that particular word. But in the speech, you don't need to have it when you're just talking about it. Then you have purvarupani. Do you recognize that word?
We usually say purvarupa.
You usually say purvarupa, exactly, which is the meaning, the previous form, you know, before it has taken its full form, purvarupa. So therefore your question is,
what's
more a question, you need more of a question, because it's not just a ni that's added on the end. If you know the word ani, exactly, because you know the word purvarupa, and you've got this ani ending, which is plural, because it's saying all previous forms. So that's the plural ending. So the word you know, purvarupa, but when you have purvarupani, previous forms in plural, because one disease might have many previous forms, or we could be talking about many diseases.
So it's different symptoms, like multiple.
Yes, multiple previous causes in plural.
Multiple previous causes.
Well, that would be with the plural ending, yes, in this context of this verse. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you're looking at your shloka. Also, how many syllables is this?
Nidanam Purva Rupa Ni.
How many?
So, Nidanam. So 9.
9.
Are you sure? Count again.
Nidanam. No, 3, 8.
Yes, 8. So therefore you know that every quarter of the shloka has how many syllables? 8. How many quarters make up a full shloka?
4.
4. So the full shloka is complete when all 4 quarters are sounded. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You break it up into 8 each, 8 syllables each, and that will help you when you're translating.
Is that the general consensus?
For shlokas,
shlokas.
because other meters and other poetry will be different.
So
Some
shlokas meters is
shloka is 8, yeah, always 8, 4 times. But another meter would be 11, another meter 12, another 19, another 15. There's hundreds of meters only for this.
Does that give you the way you kind of
Sound
Sound.
the rhythm,
Yeah.
because otherwise your rhythm goes funny. But if you know it's 8, you sound it in the rhythm of the 8. Nidanam Purvaruparni. Do you see? Then you can stop.
4 times?
That's the end of that 8. So when you chant it, you know, I don't go Nidanam Purvaruparni Ruparni. You have a break. It's like, the 8 is completed. So therefore, if I want to stop, that's my stopping point.
Some Sanskrit one, like some slokas come more than that, like na munida.
Yes, different. So that would be a different meter. Therefore, it wouldn't be called shloka.
Yeah.
It would be called Trishtub verse. A Trishtub, a different name for the exactly the ones with the 11.
11.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
There's your ending.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that is-
shloka. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a sloka.
Well,
yeah.
it's shloka has 2 contexts. This is where it gets a bit confusing. Shloka has become a word to describe a verse, but when you're saying it as the name of a meter, a specific meter, shloka meter is 8. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But when it's called, it's become colloquial just to say all verses are shlokas. But there is actually the meter of shloka. The famous meter is 8. So that's why it has a double
Yeah. That's
crosses
that
over.
is coming like end of the chapter. It's like a poetry.
Yes.
Like singing.
Yeah.
Like this is all chapters coming like this.
In this shloka, in the 8.
8.
Yes, and then when you get to the end, you've got the 11.
11, yeah.
Like a nice sing-song
Nice
one
sings, yeah.
at the end. Like, so you can, yeah.
You can sing that one.
You can, because you just sang it, I know. And there are more complicated names for all these meters, but that's a whole other study. There is a specific science in Sanskrit, chandas meter, which would cover all the meters, but that's more studying poetry. Like in Ayurveda, you wouldn't, be expected to know meters, but you would have the feeling of how many syllables. You'd be aware of the syllables and the breaking down in order to chant it.
Okay.
By chanting, you remember it better.
You remember it better when you know the meter, because then you can learn
it better as well when you're singing it.
Yes, exactly, and you can break at the right time, which helps you learn it. Then you can learn it in parts. You can start off just by learning Nidanam Purvaruparni, and that's not hard, and then you can go to your second one, Ruparnyupashayasthatha, Ruparnyupashayasthatha. So what's this second quarter listing? like what's it? Tell me rupa, and therefore question. And upashaya, yeah, it's listing two things in rupa and upashaya. Anything that you think what's it doing there?
Is it the present, how he presents, or
Rupa is symptoms, right?
Yes, the form, the manifest form, and
So it's
what's
rupa ani.
exactly.
Ani,
You recognise that ani from there. See,
Yeah.
the ending of rupa when it's plural becomes rupani. But there's a special joining rule. Rupani has joined to what word? Upaya.
Upaya.
Upashaya, that's it. So because it's joined to the upashaya, what has happened?
Comes a Y.
A Y has come. Rupani upashaya has become Rupani upashaya, to let it flow.
Yeah.
Any other question?
So what is upashaya?
Do you remember upashaya?
Noel?
Upashaya.
I'm listening.
Gustav?
Can anyone help Noel with upashaya?
Therapeutic drives.
Yeah, therapeutic drives.
And in Sanskrit it comes from the root pash or drish, which is to see. So when you see things, like you go through the therapeutic trials, you're testing things out, and then you're seeing what's happening.
Isn't upaya a remedy as well or something?
Upaya, yeah, a method. Methodology.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything else?
S. Why is the S?
Why is the S there? Because the word is upashaya. When that's meeting the t, the S comes in so that it flows. So you don't go upashaya tata, upashayas tata. Tata, yes, tata is really, I think it will be more likely just to be a filler. Do you know, to make sure there's 8 syllables, because it means just so, or
Okay. And then something like that? From the Yoga Sutra, is tada drashtu?
That's another word, tada. This is tata.
Okay.
It's almost like to complete the word, is it?
It's almost just to fill in the 2
The
syllables
gap,
that are
okay.
going to be missing.
Right.
You wouldn't need this word. It's in Sanskrit you'll find this a lot, in order to make the poetry, unnecessary filler words, but they'll use the most appropriate filler word for the context. Like, it means like, because it's made a list, so like, just as, or so, blah, 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 blah. So this list, this is to be remembered. It's not necessary, like you don't need it in the shloka, but you do need something to keep this quarter 8 syllables before you move on to the final, to the next one.
So what would be the closest meaning for
Of tata,
Yeah.
so, or as, or just as.
Is that it kind of thing?
Yes, you could say colloquially, like
Yeah.
this is it,
That is it.
that's it,
Yeah.
in a colloquial way, exactly. Mm.
And a lot of slokas in Sanskrit, Ayurveda is ending is that.
Ending in the
Tata.
tata,
Yeah.
just so, all of what you've just heard,
Yeah.
it is
That's
just
it.
so,
and
that's
so
it.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort
And-
of,
and
yeah.
So it is.
Mm.
Okay.
So it's not needed, but it will be used so much to make sure the syllable count.
It's like the om tat sam, the same tat. No,
Different one.
that's true.
That's
And
that.
It is, when you sing in Sanskrit sloka a lot together, tata is like a, it's like
Dividing point.
yes, dividing point, and it's a ploy.
Yeah.
Tata this coming to second one,
Yes.
tata this second one, and
Mm.
like that is like ending point kind
Okay.
of thing.
Mm.
It's nice when you're chanting whole thing, whole chapter,
Yeah.
is that one sloka is finishing.
Exactly. You've got a
Okay.
little signal.
Signal.
It's coming
Yeah.
to the end. A little clue. Then what's this? Sampraptishcheti vijnanam. So which word do you recognize from your 5 means of getting knowledge of disease? Samprapti. So you know that one. Anyone you have a question on? See that? What's at the end of samprapti? Did we go through this one
we did,
already?
yeah.
Oh, good. I thought I was seeing double. Yes, we've gone through that one.
Yeah.
So we've covered it. Samprapti, meeting cha, and then iti, and it's become sampraptishcheti. The cha is just and for the list we've just had, and the iti is finishing. Now our list is finished. We've got the 5 means of getting knowledge of a disease. Nidanam, Purvarupa, Rupani, because that's the plural ending. Upashaya, Samprapti. So then this word Vijnanam means knowledge. So these are the 5 things that give you knowledge, Vijnanam, of the disease. And then our final slide. Do you recognise any words? Roga. Yes, roga. What's roga?
Disease.
And that's the disease. But what's this ending on it? Arnam. So it's plural of the diseases. You see, so the first 5 things in the list give you Vijnanam, knowledge of the roga, of the diseases. That Arnam means you know it's of the diseases. Any words you recognise in the second line? Pancha, exactly, meaning?
5.
Panchadha means dha is holding, like,
Dharana.
yes, like that.
Dhara.
Exactly. Again, it's slightly unnecessary.
Is it?
Not so much, and it's just like, this is the list of 5.
Okay.
You don't need it, but it's again a syllable filler, because you've got Roganam Panchadha Smritam to make the 8. You don't have to have it. It's just like making sure you know there's a list of 5, a holding of 5. And then what about the Smritam?
Remember.
Exactly, this is remembered. Because the Ayurveda text would have been, this knowledge is so ancient that this knowledge of these 5 ways to recognise the disease would have been around for obviously thousands of years. So when the Madhava Nidana text was fully formed, they'd be acknowledging this is just what's remembered. From
That's deep memories and smriti.
It can be translated, but it doesn't have to be. Because you've in the context of being in apposition to Shruti, yes, but in the context of just memory itself, it could be any.
Okay.
Yeah, always context dependent. Yeah. So now, shall we sound the whole verse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll finish. So we have Nidanam Purva Rupani Rupanyupashayas Tatha Sampraptishcheti Vijnanam Roganam Panchadha Smritam. Let's go through it once more and just remember the meaning as we sound it. Like Nidanam, we know the primary cause.
The primary cause.
Purva Rupa, the form before it's become physical. Nidanam Purva Rupani. Nidanam Purva Rupani. And then we have a memory of this meaning, Rupani, the physical forms, Upashayas, the therapeutic trials, methodology, and that's all that's in there. Rupanyupashayas Tata. And then we do both. Nidanam Purva Rupani. Rupanyupashayas Tata. And we're on to our last ones in the list. Sampraptishcheti Vijnanam. And first remember what it is. Samprapti, the complete attainment of it, like the full manifestation. Samprapti. And that's the end of the list. Sampraptishcheti Vijnanam.
What is Vijnanam again?
The knowledge.
The knowledge.
This is the knowledge of the 5 ways of recognizing, treating disease. Sampraptishcheti Vijnanam. Sampraptishyeti vijnanam. And then we're at the end. Roganam panchada smritam. Roganam panchadha smritam. That's just nothing to do with the 5 things, but just simply telling us it's the list of these things related to disease. So now we'll sound the whole thing 3 times. And then see if by the 3rd time you can do it without looking. Nidanam purvarupani rupanyupashayastatha sampraptishyeti vijnanam roganam panchadha smritam. 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 Nidanam purvarupani rupanyupashayastatha sampraptishyeti vijnanam roganam panchadha smritam.
Beautiful.
See, you got it. Fantastic. And you got it with only the Sanskrit on the board. Did they even have these?
That's still complicated.
That's okay. But you can at least know that what you just sounded looks like that.
Yeah.
That's okay just to know it. So we'll come to an end now. Unless there are any questions. It's just to give you a taste of a shloka, you know, a taste. So Dr. Deepika will come back in a minute, and then it's a time to just make sure you've learnt that shloka by heart.
With the what is it? No, Vijnana. You don't say Vijnana?
Some say vijnana, but you would need a slight touch of the j, because it's
Vijnana.
yes. You can say some say vijnana, but that's different schools of pronunciation. The j, like nya, is so slight. That's why often you don't hear the j anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and you just hear nya, but the j is there just very quietly. Vijnanam.
Okay, so
Touch it.
it can be either.
Not
Adensha
really,
or-
because
yeah.
in theory people are trying to touch it, but they're just missing it. So it's eventually come to
So how you say the Agnya chakra or Ajna chakra?
ajna. Tiny. I'm doing it too much. Just a tiny touch. Ajna. But it's still there, because it's not anya, because that would be another letter. Just nya. Ajna.
Okay.
In tradition, it's sometimes pronounced as agya, but not in the ancient Vedic tradition. That's more recent chanting. options. Ajna.
What about panchada?
Pancha.
You have an nya.
Just a nya. So you just touch pancha.
Panya.
Pancha, because it's got the
Pancha.
cha after it.
Panchada.
So you can't sound the full nya because it's joined to the cha.
Yeah.
Pancha.
Okay.
Pancha. But you're not going pancha because that would be the n here. It's not this n. It's the palatal nya. Pancha.
Pancha.
It's not always how you say pancha, is it?
Panchada.
Do you ever say pancha with a nya?
Yes,
Okay.
always the actual 5 always has the nya, not unless if you're reading it with the dot above it. If you might see p with the dot above it, then you do have a choice of nasal, but the correct choice would still be the nya. Pancha.
Okay.
Some property, because I thought, doesn't it mean pathogen? Isn't she taught us that it's in Ayurveda, it's the pathogenesis?
Yeah, they arrived fully.
And that's the same, yeah. Pathogenesis, when you see the full manifestation of the disease, the literal Sanskrit, that which is fully arrived. So you've fully arrived in your state of disease.
But you would use it in other contexts. How would you use it?
In other contexts outside Ayurveda,
Yeah.
like just reached fully,
So there's no pathogenic actually in the word.
not in the actual word. That's the Ayurvedic
So
context.
the nidana, some properties.
Yes,
The disease have arrived
cause
completely.
and then the complete arrival. And in Ayurvedic terminology, pathogenesis, but outside medicine, it would mean something different. It would mean like she fully arrived in her state of calm, or she was fully arrived, completely present, that type of thing. It doesn't. All Sanskrit words will have different contexts according to if you're translating Ayurveda, astrology, yoga.
When the therapeutic trials there, because therapeutic trials is
Upashaya.
it's upashaya, but that's already the treatment of the disease. But this we are talking about the origin of the disease, no? The whole sloka talks about the origin of the disease, not the therapeutic trials is kind of...
It's the stages of finding out about the disease. So even in the therapeutic trials, you're using them to find out more about what might be going on. Like if someone's starting to show symptoms, rupa, then you begin to do a few tests and trials, what might be going on, but it might not have fully manifested yet in its full samprapti.
Okay.
So you use that upashaya.
I suppose you test in various things.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a test.
To check, oh, is this this, according to what you results you get from the trials.
Tests.
Yes.
And you're using your upashaya, your methods, your methodology, your discernment as with regards to the results.
Okay.
Upashaya. And any final questions? Okay.
When it pancha, that means that you 5.
Like Panchamahabhuta.
But what are the? This might sound stupid, but what are the 5? What 5 are we talking about?
Count. Let's check. Nidana,
Okay, nidana.
Purvarupa,
4.
Rupa,
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. That's
Upashaya. It's good to ask all these questions because otherwise you go home and feel like, oh, I don't get it or something. So it's really good to ask them in here.
My maths is a bit.
Nidana, Purva, Rupa, Upashaya.
And
It's better to be in
Samprapti.
ignorant to life.
Yes.
Samprapti is a full manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And you see, in the Ayurvedic context, this is applying to disease. But you could also take that same template and you can apply it to obviously any type of disease, mental, psychological, even just the mood you're in right now has all those 5 present in it, in a way.
Right.
More obviously, there's always a nidana to everything, because that's
So
a universal
what
word.
nidana actually means?
It means primary cause, like in the cosmic translation.
So before the end, before roga is introduced, it can be.
Yes, it's just the energy that gets things in motion.
Could be your
That
karma.
which sets things in motion is a nidana.
Is it like your karma?
I mean, that would be an interpretation that you're implying, but not officially. But you could interpret it that if you're following the viewpoint that your karma has been a cause of you to reach this state in this life, then you could say that becomes your nidana. But
nidana in itself is primary cause.
Primary cause, and in the Ayurvedic context, the primary cause of a disease. But in the wider context, the motivating force behind anything. Before things set in motion, there has to be something to trigger it. The switch on of the engine, like Purusha Prakriti, when Dr. Deepika was talking about Samkhya, philosophy of creation, therein is the nidana.
It can be very deep.
Can be very deep.
It's quite philosophical.
Very philosophical, and then also psychoanalytical, because you could go find what's the nidana of this mood I'm in.
It's psychological, can be very psychological as well. Can be very, interesting.
Okay. We'll come in 10 minutes.
So you'll have a little break.
A little break. Yeah.
Okay.
To digest, because that's what Dr. Deepika was talking about, isn't she? Armour.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be fully digested.
But in a sense, sloka, there is no armour.
No, not in this one, but just in the context of, before you move on to your next thing with Dr. Deepika, you fully digested this, because then you can feel ready to eat more. Otherwise, how can you eat more thoughts if you're not digested this one, and then the doubt comes and it all goes mishmash?
That'd be indigestion.
Yeah, indigestion, exactly, mentally.
We'll call on the Agni.
So this is a little quiet time for the Ama